Hey guys, it's JH and welcome back to the practice tee. I haven't been here for so long and the guys haven't seen me for so long that they haven't even mowed the practice tee. It's just been so long. And I'll probably do myself an injury today because I haven't swung the club for so long, and I'll probably hit myself an ankle rather than the ball. And guys, the reason I haven't been here is that, and don't want to get into politics, but we're experiencing extraordinary things here in Australia at the moment with the restrictions that we're forced to live under. Australia used to be called the lucky country. Well, I can tell you right now that luck has run out. We are being governed by, well, we're not being governed, we're being controlled by a lunatic government, both state and federal. The restrictions that we've had to bear are the toughest in the world. Actually, I know a couple from Sydney, German couple, husband and wife, who lived in East Germany from 1968 to 85 or something when the wall came down. And they said that they had more freedoms in East Germany than we have in Australia now. Anyway, I won't go into that, guys, but that's the reason we haven't been here. We've had all types of restrictions, and we go into a lockdown, we come out of a lockdown, we have an hour's notice where we go back into a lockdown. We've had restrictions of 1 hour where we can be out of our house, 5-kilometre radius that you can't travel from your house. It's not quite that bad up here where I live, which is in a regional area, but we get burdened with the restrictions that are put on in the cities. And even though we've had no infections in this area since the pandemic started, none, not one admission to hospital, we are saddled with the same restrictions that Sydney and the other major towns are. Anyway, guys, I won't go on, but that's the reason I haven't been here. And I'm frazzled in the brain with what I'm being exposed to. Anyway, guys, in being away for as long as I have, I've had hundreds of hours or thousands of hours to spend on the internet, just looking at stuff and going over things and just looking at the golf swing per se. And there's some interesting things that I've come up with. There's some stuff on the internet now that is Mac O'Grady stuff that's been released that was not on the internet before. And for some reason or other it's been released of late. So there's some very interesting stuff in there, and of course I'm a big fan of Mac O'Grady's, and I think he had the best mechanics in conventional golf swing that there's ever been. He and Mike Austin. And the stuff that he did, guys, I think really he proved that his principles were the correct principles for swinging a golf club. And the reason I come to that conclusion is that whenever you saw a student of Mac O'Grady, he looked like Mac O'Grady. So the principles that he applied, that Mac gave him, made him repeat the same action that Mac O'Grady had. And guys, I haven't hit a ball since I don't know how long it's been now, probably 8 weeks or something like that. But it's been extraordinary. And I've just been looking at it, and I've done what we call, and Johnny Miller used to do it, just called mental embedding. And that you just see things in your mind that you see your body doing. And some of the things that Mac was talking about, I think I'm going to incorporate. Anyway, today's just sort of a get back and just have a bit of a chat. But guys, the things I'm going to be working on, and for anybody with any golf swing, guys, we saw in so many dispatches about Ben Hogan's golf swing, about trying to emulate the raised wristbone, the lead wristbone here. Now we saw that in Hogan at impact and post-impact. But I don't believe that was a conscious thing he did. I think that was a resultant. And the reason that happened, I think, was because of the opposite, which was the angle formed in the trail wrist here. And if you form that trail, if you form that trail wrist angle in the backswing, in that fashion there, here, and you just maintain that in the downswing to impact, which Mo Norman used to call a claw. If you do that, if you just maintain that angle in the downswing and bring it to here, look what happens to the lead wrist. It has that look about it. Now Hogan never talked about that wrist position in his book. It was shown, but he never talked about it. Now O'Grady very much talks about it. He talks about creating that angle very early in the backswing, no extension in the backswing. In conventional golf swing, we have this extension here. Well, Mac didn't. Mac wanted to have position 1, which is here, where the shaft is parallel to the ground, here. So it's an early wrist set. And then from there on, he just maintained that wrist set through the golf ball. So that's something to think about with it, whatever type of swing that you're using now or trying to build. Now the other thing that Grady talks about, O'Grady, is something that I've preached myself for a long time, and that is the shape of the golf swing. The shape of the golf swing, guys, whether we like it or not, is circular. It's a half or a quarter circle here and a quarter circle here. It's like one of those rounded revolving doors you see in a department store or an insurance company. It goes here. Guys, the golf swing has no straight lines in it. There's nothing linear in the golf swing, no matter what you think. It's linear on the Iron Byron because it's a fixed pivot. And it moves through this plane. So Iron Byron can take it here and be linear rearwards and linear forwards. But us, the way we're designed and the way we move around this type of axis here, as soon as we turn our shoulders, and if we let the club go naturally, it's a circular action here, down, and here. Now that piece of the circle on that side, guys, is something that O'Grady talks about and teaches his students, and we saw it in Hogan. And that is, guys, that the intention should be to let that circular process or that structure play itself out. Just let it happen. Once we're coming down to impact here, we're coming down to impact there, we don't want to force the club down the line, because that's destroying the natural arc or the circle. What we need to do is, once we've gone in this arc here and we come into impact here, post-impact we're going this way, guys. We're going what we call level left as hard as we can for a right-hander. Coming into impact, we're not trying to fire the club down the line here. We're going level left here. So we're just retracing the rest of the arc on that side of the golf swing. Or not retracing, because we weren't there in the backswing, of course. But to have it as a natural geometry process in the golf swing, we need to get to impact here, and then just let it keep going here. And what that does, guys, is that keeps handle in, handle grip in, and club head out. If we go down the line, we can tend to get the handle raising and the club, and sometimes that will force the hosel of the club into the ball, because we get this elevation here and it just forces the club on too much of an in to out path. Now it's okay for channel lock because we're swinging in a channel, but even in channel lock, guys, with channel lock, if we're swinging in the channel here and there's our channel beside our body. We don't want to force the club down there going through. We want to, after we're in the channel here, we just want to let it continue on a curved channel around here and let it just release over here. We don't want it to fire it up and down there. And I've neglected to mention that in the initial, well, in the study of channel lock. So anybody doing channel lock, if you're moving in the channel here, and once we cross that line there, guys, just let the club come back. The fact that we've taken it in here with the back ball position, we're going to be moving that way anyway, and the club will be starting out across the target line, but it will be continuing on that arc around to the left. Once you've crossed that arc, that target line, don't keep forcing it out there to right field. Just let it, once we've gone here, just once we've hit it here, just let it retrace itself over here. Now that's for channel lock, but for any golf swing, any mechanicals, any type of golf swing that you're using. And I'll be totally disorganised today, guys, because I just had a window to get down here today, and I haven't hit any shots. I've just been thinking about this stuff. So what we're going to be thinking about is that left of the line, level left release, which is basically just here. We just want to be a revolving door here. We want to cock the club up here, start it, get in here. Impact position, guys, we want to be here. That's where we want to be. And it was interesting, just digressing, but a player that Hogan gave lessons to, and a guy that nearly won the US Open, a guy called John Schlee. John Schlee said that when he was getting lessons of Hogan, Hogan said to him, John, get in impact position where you think impact position should be. So Schlee went here, like that. And so Hogan said, okay, hit a shot from there. Schlee said, what do you mean? He said, stay in that position and hit a shot from there. So Schlee went and just absolutely hammered the ball. And he said, what happened there? And Hogan said, well, what you've done, you've got in the position you want to be at impact. In the backswing, you've actually loaded more into that lead leg here, and you've got that lead leg wanting to unwind the downswing and bring you into a really strong impact position. And by doing that, you get this mass moving on top of the ball to in front of the ball. We're not hitting it, and we're not be back here. And so if you want to just hit some practice shots, just some little half shots, just get into that impact position here, cock the club up, and hit a shot from there. Just get into that impact position, hold it, take the normal backswing, and hit a shot. Now I'm keeping my lead leg flexed because I want to stay with the shot. Now, I've never been one to really load into the lead side at address or at impact. I'm basically, you know, like just neutral type loading. But if we want to hit some shots, if we get into that impact position here and then try and get even further in front of the ball as we're coming down and combine that trail wrist position, for people that normally don't compress the ball, you'll feel a different feeling when you hit the golf ball, probably for the first time in your life, because you'll be getting proper impact, proper line of compression. Now I haven't hit, they're the first shots I've hit for nearly 2 months. So this is just the drill. Get into what we term impact position here. Just cock the club back. And that's amazing how far that shot's gone and how straight it is. And guys, I'm just I mean, I've had no warm-up, no shots or anything for... The only warm-up I've had is in my brain, thinking about what I want to do. Now, I'll try and really accentuate being here, and I'll stay here. They're just dead straight shots. And off a very, very small swing base. Very small. I'll try and put more of a turn on it. All those shots are just dead straight. And pretty good distance. I mean, it's a 5-iron, and they're off that little base there. That's probably within, 15 yards of normal carry. It's just surprising how far it goes. Of course, the efficiency's good. All right, now that I'm warmed up, so get in here, Jade. Just cock it up. Get that wrist angle. That's almost normal 5-iron distance. That's really crazy. Really amazing. Okay, what's interesting with that is the ball flight's much lower because I'm sort of on top of it quite a bit when I hit it. But it's not gougy and it's not clunky. It's not super compression yet because I'm still really tight. And guys, I've noticed that in looking at Jon Rahm lately, who's the #1 player in the world, how much distance he gets, how much power he's got with like a half, 3/4 backswing. Doesn't take it back very far at all. But what he does do is he really gets into that lead side and gets that lead side cleared so early, which gives him tremendous pull and lag in the shot. Okay, he's a youngish guy compared to me. So, so he gets here and then he's really into that lead side and firing it. So having the short swing and not having a huge amount of hip turn or anything like that, and not having a lot of unloading of the lead side, he creates a lot of torque in his golf swing. And you can have a shorter golf swing if you've got higher torque than a long swing with less torque, and you could still generate the same speed, which he is clearly a perfect indicator and example of that. So this is the drill. We load left, impact position, we cock it up on the backswing, and then we maintain that trail wrist position on the downswing. What's interesting about those shots, there's no movement on them at all. Technically they're just a dead straight ball flight, which means I've got this happening through the ball. Yeah. And we saw with Hogan, when Hogan finished, Hogan was always here. Now if you extrapolate that back to there, that's a square to slightly open club face. There's no wrap over with Hogan. Sometimes we saw some shots of him with the driver where he was here. That's sheer velocity doing that. And it was estimated that Hogan probably, with today's equipment, would have swing speed of 120 miles an hour, which is quite significant. Because he had like 14.5-ounce golf club, 43 3/4 long steel shaft. Today with a 46-inch golf club weighing 9.5, 10 ounces, the speed he would have had would have been tremendous. And it's interesting to see the modern day pros when they have days where they just hit the old equipment. They don't hit it very far, and they're guys with 118, 120 mile an hour golf swings, but they don't hit it huge distances. So it's Hogan would have been surprising. Okay, getting back to this. So just the drill, load left. What we want to do is try and get more rotation through the ball, more level left, and get into that lead side more on the downswing than we are. Load it here, and it's slightly longer backswing. Now, because I had a slightly longer backswing and more velocity, that was just a little power draw. But it's encouraging to come back from a couple of months off and sitting around, and even our gyms have been closed, guys, so I haven't been able to work out, so I am really, as they say in Australia, I'm stiff as a crutch, or stiff as a brick. Okay, so if you want to get the feel of it and make the drill easier, just get a 9-iron or a wedge, not a sand iron, because you don't really get any indication what your ball's flights because of the spin that you put on it and the loft and that. So get, you know, like a 9-iron or an 8-iron or something like that, and club shorter so you can load left, but don't let the loading out of that lead side at all. Here, get there, take it back. And just hit some little, you know, 3/4 shots like that. Okay, now really hold the angle. It's amazing how far that's gone. And I'm not holding what we term loading left as much as I should be, and I'm not level left releasing as much as I should be, and I'm not holding that as much as I should be. I'll see if we can do all of that. Now that's really good. This is 9-iron, and I don't practice with short irons, as you guys know, but I normally hit 9-iron up to those posts up there, those goal posts, and that's just right at the base of that. So even off that little swing there, it's still going, still carrying, you know, the 130 metres. So, but this time I'll really try and get level left. See where I'm finishing over here, guys? That's level left, because that's the part, that's the bottom, that's the second part, or the other quarter of the swing. And if you can finish over here and have this orientation in your golf club, you'll know that you haven't wrapped it. You haven't wrapped it over when you've hit it. So, and that's a drill you can probably do for a whole practice session, guys. And you'll be surprised how far you'll hit the ball, how straight you'll hit the ball. But you've got to work on this. Even if you hit some little shots where you don't take it back very far and you just concentrate on just that. But don't let the arms go that way as much. When you do it, let the arms go over here. Here. See, that's really surprising. That little shot, that's probably 90 metres. Little shot like that. Really surprising. And just dead centre of the blade. And I'm not doing, because I haven't been practicing this, I'm not doing it with the totality that I'm trying to achieve. Here. They're just little bunts. Okay. Now, as I normally start my practice sessions with the driver, as I told you guys before, and I didn't today, but And people say, why do you start your practice session with a driver JH? Because for me, it's a longer club, it's got more momentum, and it just loosens me up more. And I just think it's easier to swing. I think the driver's the easiest club in the bag to hit. It's just a reality for me. And this grip feels really slick because it's been in the bag for so long. Alright. Going to hold that angle and release it way over here. Now if I can take it back a bit further. Now, the feeling for me is that I should be getting just a little power fade, but I'm not. I'm getting a little power draw. But that's because I'm not holding this angle long enough through the ball. And it's basically essentially a hold-off type action here. That's what I need to be doing, that. But I'm not getting that, I'm getting just that. And it's funny when you haven't been hitting shots for a long time, the clubs feel so heavy. It feels like an anvil. Absolute anvil. Guys, they're about 90% contact. I'd be happy with all of those shots on the golf course, every one of them. Yeah, so guys, going forward in the next, if I can get out a couple of times in the next week, I'm going to be doing some Mac O'Grady stuff. One of the things we saw in O'Grady's swing was, more than any other player, he held his secondary tilt more than anyone at the finish of the golf swing. I have a little bit of difficulty doing that because of a lower back injury that I've always had from a couple of crashes in the race cars and motorcycles I used to race. So that's hard for me to compress the lower spine. But if you can do that, if you can actually keep your secondary tilt here through the ball as long as you can, and O'Grady hits some shots where he actually practices here, he goes here and he fires and he stops the club there. And that's another aspect we'll go over in coming videos, where he has this, what they call a cut-off finish here. It's just full power but a cut-off here. And when you've cut it off, it should be there. And that's because he's got the connection on the arms. He doesn't like his arms flapping around from the body. He believes all the speed and the power comes from rotation. But people don't really know what rotation is. For him, rotation is this, middle of the pelvis. And the pelvis is, he doesn't do anything to hit it any further, he just rotates faster. Doesn't hit it any harder, he just rotates faster. And he does an exhibition where he puts down, half a dozen balls and he hits a shot, 40 yards, then 80 yards, then 120, and then 160, and then 200 yards. And the only difference in the length of the golf swing, well, there's no difference in the length of the golf swing. The only thing that changes to get that extra speed is this quickens up. His power source is here. That's his generator. And I'll go into that in videos to come. So guys, just coming back today just to get out and just just to get out per se. And we'll see if we can have a little bit of quickness in there.